Hey, think about the last time something significant actually changed in your life. A door opened, a problem got solved, like something that had been stuck that finally moved. And now trace it back honestly, like not the version of the story that you tell, but the real version. Who was in it?
Yeah, because there's almost always somebody. There's a conversation that happened at the right time. Someone who, knew something that you didn't. Someone who made an introduction, or I don't know, someone who just didn't leave.
Yeah, and most of us, like when we tell the story, we tend to leave that person out. We kind of take the credit. We say we figured it all out. We made the decision. We turned the corner.
And technically, that's true. But the full inventory, it almost always it's like those other people are in it somewhere.
Yeah, which means that most of us are sitting on a resource that we're not fully using. And today we're going to talk about what it looks like when you actually do.
This is the nature of everything. Don't stay stuck.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the nature of everything. I'm Bo and Clint is with me as always.
Always.
Look, and today we're going to talk about one of those most overlooked resources on your gap map. And it's been there the whole time.
Yep, and it's people. That's what we're talking about.
We're talking about people.
The people.
But look, this is practical and it's strategic. And before you hear the word strategic and think like we're total assholes telling you to treat people like chess pieces, that's not what we're talking about. Recognizing what someone is in your life and how you honor them correctly, like that's what we're talking about. It's how you stop asking for your relationships to be, well, something that they're not.
Yeah, realistically, when you boil it down, it's more respectful, and it's not about calculation, or it's damn sure not about manipulation. So look, if you're new here, welcome. Again, we're Bo and Clint. We're lifelong friends, co-creators of the COIN framework, and COIN stands for confirm it, own it, be intentional, and change the nature of everything. It's a practical process for working through the real gaps in your life, and we wrote a book about it, and I say you should go grab it at thenatureofeverything.com.
So here's the thing about people as a resource. Like most of us are dramatically underestimating the value of those people. Not because we don't value people in general, but because we've never gotten intentional about what people actually are in our lives and what we could be in theirs.
And that's the piece that most people miss. It's not one directional. You are a resource as well.
So let's just say the practical version of this plainly. Your next opportunity could be sitting inside of a relationship that you already have. Or it's maybe one honest conversation away from a relationship that you don't have.
Indeed. So the solution to the problem that you're stuck with right now almost certainly exists in someone else's experience. Someone who has been right where you are, someone who knows what you need to know, and someone who knows exactly someone else that you need to know.
Look, in the gap between where you are and where you're trying to go, whether it's business or health or really any area of your life, it almost always has a people component that we're not using.
So the question isn't whether people are a resource. The question is whether you're being intentional enough about understanding what role the people around you can actually play.
Yeah, which is exactly what today's all about. Not everyone is everything. And I think that's where a lot of people either get maybe their feelings hurt or they just get stuck because we expect people to be more than they are, or we write them off because they can't be everything.
Yeah. And that's interesting because like you saying that, either one of those choices can be an extremely expensive mistake to make.
And here's something else that we don't talk about enough. Like some of the most important people in your life aren't going to make your inner circle. And that's fine because that's not the only role that matters.
True. I mean, think about the barista that serves your coffee every day. Like they know your order without ever asking. The folks at the convenience store, you've been shooting the breeze with them forever, like 3, 4, 5 years, however long you've been going. Your neighbor next door, you wave to them every morning. Like these are people in your day-to-day life.
Yeah, and those people, they don't just play a minor role in your life because they're not in your iPhone contacts. They're a familiar face. They're a kind word on a rough morning, or someone that, you can try your worst dad jokes on and maybe get a laugh.
And for the record, there's no bad dad jokes ever.
None.
None. They're all great. But to your point, I mean, you're right. Those are real. Those are true connections, and they contribute to your life in ways that I'd say are like really hard to measure.
And when we start treating people as resources, this is exactly why it doesn't mean ranking them by usefulness. It means recognizing that every person can offer something. The question's just like, what is it? Or are you present enough to actually receive it?
Okay, so to that point, like, let's talk about what that spectrum actually looks like. Some people are, I'd say, like emotional anchors. They like know your real position. They know your real feelings. They know your thoughts. And
Your crap.
the yeah, yeah, and they're willing to stay in there with you when all that gets, difficult to deal with. And like think about it, like those are the ones that you call when something truly matters. So that's one side of it. And then some people are just connections, like strategic connections of some sort. They know people that you need to know. They help with the networking piece. They help with the socialization stuff. Like they see angles that you can't see from where you're standing and you can't see from your experience. And so those people are strategically in place to, I'd say, to help you like open doors and to see opportunities.
Yeah, and look, people could be any or all of that, right?
Sure. Sure.
And most people actually, you just don't even know yet because you
hmm
haven't been curious enough to find out.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's a really important word there, like the word curious, because the intentional move isn't to sort people like coldly. We keep saying strategically and use people as resource, but we don't mean to say that in a cold manner. Like we're not building people into our spreadsheet. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean the goal here is to get genuinely interested in who they are. So that relationship can actually become fully what it's capable of being, like for both of you.
Yeah, because again, it's important to note this is not about utilizing people to the sense that you are using people. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're saying. Like using someone is sort of like without awareness. Like you're just, I mean, that's not what we're doing. Recognizing someone's role means showing up for them in the way that's actually useful. Like so again, this can work both ways, not just the way that's comfortable or convenient. You're showing up for them, they show up for you. I mean, there's roles that are meaningful here.
Yeah, and Clint, you talked about different kinds of people, like, somebody who's kind of a deep friend, an emotional anchor, I think you said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's not your business strategy partner
Right.
necessarily. And
Sure.
your strategic connection points, they're not going to want to hear from you when you're sad at 2 a.m. Like,
Fair.
getting that information right isn't cold, it's respectful.
Sure.
I mean, it means that you understand what the relationship actually is, and you're not asking it to be something that it's not.
Yeah, and absolutely. When you find those people who can be both, can be in both spots and roles for you. I mean, these people like hold real position and they can open doors that you alone can never reach. So I think it's truly important. Like you protect those relationships,
Double
guard.
down on those.
Yeah, yeah, invest in those for sure because those are so super rare. And to what we do here, those types of people, they can change the nature of everything.
And okay, so on a side note, I'm going to tell a quick story. So, my son Alex, when he was young, he got frustrated with me one day and he just said, "You don't love me. You just pretend like you do."
Mm.
And I laughed and I was like, that's the same thing.
Oh man, yeah. But look, that's still the right answer.
I mean, I think so. Look, because like love for me isn't just a feeling to perform, it's something that I practice. Every time I show up or every time I stay present and choose to be somewhere, that's love. The evidence of it, not the declaration.
And to your point, look, Alex at that age couldn't see the inner position that you're talking about. He could only see, and too often true for many of us, only can see what's in front of us at the moment. And, like he filled in the rest himself as best he could.
And really, like, I do the same thing with people. Like, somebody rubs me the wrong way once, and I've already written the ending, And look, that's not wisdom. That's just a guess that my brain got comfortable with.
Sure. Well, I mean, and from a behavioral standpoint, we're kind of wired to do exactly that. We're sort of built to make sense of people as quickly as we can, because that's efficient. The problem with this, however, is that like we treat the guess that we make, this quick estimation that we make, we treat that like it's the conclusion and like it has drawn upon all of the evidence. And too often we stop asking questions at that point.
Yeah, and look, that's where the resource disappears. And it's not because the person wasn't there. It's because we decided that we already knew who they were.
Mm-hmm.
The antidote to that, to the fast bucket, quick conclusion, it's not to try harder, not to judge. It's to get curious. Curiosity is like the smartest strategic move that you can make in a room full of people.
Yeah, indeed it is. And here's why. Every person you will ever meet, their favorite subject is themselves. We like us more than we like other people. But look, I don't want it mistaken. It's not because people are self-absorbed, because their own experience is the only one that they have like full access to. It's the only thing that they can truly pull all of the information from. So when you ask about it genuinely, you get more real information about someone when they are the observer of themselves. Way more than any observation that you can make or they can give of you.
Again, that's not a tactic. It's just how you find out who somebody actually is. I mean,
That's
it
true.
sounds very surface. You just get curious. You ask good questions. Like, what are you building? What have you been through? Where are you trying to go? What are you doing with your life?
Yeah. And like especially that last question that you mentioned, it's the one that's probably the most practically important. Like, where are you trying to go and who are you trying to be? What are you trying to do? Because relationships don't have to be permanent to be valuable necessarily, because this isn't about finding your forever people in every conversation, but it is about recognizing like the people that you are currently in that vicinity with. Are they headed somewhere near where you're wanting to go? Are they heading the same direction? Or better yet, have they already been successful in whatever you're trying to accomplish? Is this someone who you want to keep their number in your phone, like on speed dial, because at some point you might need the information that they have. You might need to contact them, and they may truly be willing to be a resource for you.
Yeah, and look, that is not cold. That's not deceptive. It's just honest.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually takes the pressure off of every interaction. You're not auditioning for each other. You're not deciding if someone makes your forever cut. Not everybody can be the Clint to the bow here.
That's right. Sure.
But you're just figuring out what's true right now. And if there's something there that you need to investigate.
And look, understand, and it's acceptable and it's expected and it's always okay to recognize that some people they walk with you for a season, and it may be shorter season or longer seasons depending on the people, and that's okay. Like, there are people that are for your lifetime, and that's amazing. But look, curiosity is the piece that helps you determine what the difference is about those. Without writing people off before you even know who they are, you get to explore this through curiosity.
And I want to talk about my very favorite movie for a second. Harvey, 1950, James Stewart. His character, Elwood Dowd, he's this like gentle, open, endlessly curious man who asks everyone he meets like their name, where they're from, what they do, and he genuinely wants to know, like every single time. And he follows up and he remembers, and he treats every person like they're worth the full conversation.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I get it. And if you're curious, Bo is 643 years old for that to be his favorite movie. But I will say it's pretty cool because to your point, the world around him in this movie, they basically decide that he's out of his mind.
I mean, which is the most honest commentary on this that I've ever seen. But look, there's a particular scene that I love the most. And, he meets this guy in a bar. He's just this regular old guy, and he's talking to him, and he asks about his life, and he really listens. And, like the guy says that he's been making license plates for the state for the last few months. But look, like then he gets invited to dinner.
Like, just like that. You're right.
Just like that. I mean, no judgment about where the guy's been or no recalculation of whether he's worth knowing. Just, I know you. I like you. Come to dinner. And look, that's charming to us because, I mean, it's charming to me because, I mean, I've actually forgotten that that's just normal. That's what genuine curiosity looks like when it goes all the way.
Yeah, the world around this character, I mean, they've decided that he's the crazy one. But, I mean, realistically, when you consider it, like, he has better relationships than almost anyone else in that entire film. Like, Invisible Rabbit and all, really.
All right, so off of the movie, I mean, the thing that we're describing today, staying genuinely curious about people, not pre-sorting them, but keeping the door open, it can look unusual to people who've stopped doing it. Like Elwood Dowd, he'd never lost something that a lot of us quietly give up on somewhere along the way.
And look, sometimes what you find when you stay that open is exactly what you needed. Like someone who can open a door or fill a gap or that's like change the trajectory of something that you're working on. Like that's when you find this.
Yeah, and sometimes you find that barista who knows your order. Or somebody from a store and they hit you with a terrible joke and it just sends you into your morning feeling like a person. And that matters. I mean, more than we give it credit for.
Like either way, like you've added something. There's a familiar face or like you're talking about that small moment of connection, like just a thread into a larger network of people who know that you exist and they're glad that you exist. They're glad that you're present.
And just that, over time, across enough interactions, that's what pushes back against feelings of isolation. Not one big relationship that fixes everything, just a life where you stay curious and people are in it.
With that, we all have people that we've just drifted from. You know what? Life got busy. The rhythm kind of broke. The cadence dropped off. It's just not something that we've kept up with. And, it's sort of like now enough time has passed that reaching back out to them feels kind of weird. Like everybody owes some explanation for why it fell off or why this silence is there. So it's as if it's just all hinging on your next text message or phone call.
Yeah, but it hasn't been. Like they got busy too.
Yeah.
And
indeed.
we build this thing up in our heads where the gap in communication has to be addressed. Like before we can continue this friendship, we just, need to get back on the same page.
Which, realistically, if that's what you're waiting for, it's kind of like setting up like the worst possible outcome that you can come up with. I think that pause and that hesitation to reach back out too often creates this loss of a relationship for no reason. I mean, there wasn't a falling out or some type of argument or a conflict. It just life's inertia just took you in directions and you got busy.
Yeah. So look, here's a practical move. You don't need a reason. You don't even need to acknowledge the gap.
Sure.
You just shoot him a text. Hey, I was just thinking about you. How are things? Like, that's it. And most people are so relieved that someone else reached out that the silence becomes really irrelevant.
And way too often that's the piece that closes your gap. I mean, that's a relationship piece that absolutely closes a gap for you because this is somebody that you already know. Like they have a background on you. They have something that gives them context as to what you're wanting, what you're needing, what you're experiencing. They're somebody that's been in your corner before and would absolutely be in your corner again if the communication line can get reestablished.
So here's the practical place that we want to land. Like when you're trying to close a gap, any gap, an honest inventory question, that most people skip is like, who do I know? And who do they know? And can they help me?
And that last part often gets skipped mainly because like I feel like we maintain this performance, like protect this image of ourselves, and we make sure that we keep everything so surface level so that nothing can get embarrassed or get hurt or whatever. But then we wonder like why people feel like, well, everybody's just doing everything alone. Well, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times that guardedness, is that a
Mhm.
word, guardedness?
It is now.
I mean, that kind of keeps them doing it alone because maybe they don't want to be honest about where they are or what they're working with, and just to really have an honest moment with another person.
Yeah, and we've said it before, like you don't have to tell everyone everything. We're not telling you to be completely transparent. Full open transparency. We can't say that that's always the right move. Like authentic living is the right move, but full transparency to everyone, yeah, I'm not saying that's not the right move.
I mean, I do think that you have to tell the right people enough information, like to
Mhm.
help. Like you have
Sure,
to
of course.
ask for help. I mean, you have to be curious enough, even about them, to know who those right people actually are because you've talked to them, you've asked them.
Yeah, to that end, like that boils it down to the work starts with us getting honest about what I actually need, like truly honest about what we need. What gaps are we trying to close? And even if you go singular, like what gap right now is the pressing piece of this? Which one is personal, present, and absolutely pressing right now? Because with that, now that's the work starting with me. So, what kind of support would I actually need to move forward?
And even then, like looking at who's around you and not with judgment and not with that story you already wrote about them, but with genuine curiosity about what they know and where they've been and how they could be capable of helping you.
And who you're capable of being for them. Like, I think that's an important piece because at that point, the relationship that becomes real resources like mutually. And if you're able to help each other mutually, I mean, that always plays out for the
Yeah.
best.
And look, nobody's disqualified from being part of your inventory. Like the person that you would never even go grab coffee with, like in your mind right now, that might be the exact connector that you need. So try to stay curious for long enough to find out.
All right, so let's talk about something for a second. Like everything we've talked about today assumes that you have people around you to be curious about. And for some people listening, that might be the gap. Like maybe the circle is excessively small, or maybe it used to be a bigger circle at some point, and now life has happened and kids and job and all the stuff, and now that circle is shrunk to some degree, and that's its own kind of thing to sit with. And it happens more than people want to admit. Life just shifts. These things happen. Kids and career changes and you move, or I don't know, like we mentioned, the friendship just sort of dissolves somehow. And one day you look up and realize the people you used to lean on, they're just not as close as they used to be. And where this gets important is that I know you feel it. I've felt it before. Like you're not completely sure on how you got here, why it feels this way, and then what the hell do you do with it?
I really feel this one personally. I work alone as a marketing consultant. My closest relationships can often be my clients at the moment,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
a few close friends. And then, I put on a super dad cape and I really get to work. It's a full life, but it's also a narrow one in some ways. And like, I have to be honest about that.
And that level of honesty, confirming that your circle has gotten smaller or that, at life and work and all these things, like it's creating this environment that isolation keeps quietly moving in and keeps quietly sort of shrinking the circle. That's honesty. And it's not failure. Like none of these things are a failure. It's just being able to recognize that and confirm that that's giving you an accurate sort of reading on what's going on. And remember, you can't get out of a bad location if you're dealing with a false map.
Yeah. I mean, so you have to own that, and then you have to practice your way into something bigger. Like not all at once and not by forcing it, But I really do think by staying curious, by letting people in at whatever level they fit.
Sure. And there has to be boundaries though. And like the boundaries that matter. You don't have to invite everyone to poker night. Or girls' night or whatever it's going to be. Like nobody has time for all of that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Sure. Not every relationship needs to, be that deep and go that far. Like again, like the barista doesn't need to be your best friend. They can be, but they don't have to be your closest mate in order for the interaction that you guys have for that to matter. Like the neighbor that you walk out every morning and wave to, like they're a person, they matter, but they don't have to be the inner circle person. It still counts.
When you start looking at people through the lens of like how they could fit, even when it's in a small way, but like whenever you start looking at people through the lens of how they could fit, even in a small way, like instead of whether or not they belong in your inner circle, like that can open up some real possibilities. And slowly, without it even feeling like some project, the circle gets a little wider and that isolation loses a little ground.
Well, that's the practice of this. That's the application of this. Again, everything that we're talking about, we're not talking about making a social overhaul. Just stay open enough that people can actually like get in somewhere in your life. They can actually fit in somewhere.
So look, I want to go back to my Alex story for just a second. Alex didn't need me to confess more information when he said that. Like what he needed to do was to ask a better question. And granted, he was kind of young, so he wasn't there yet. Mm-hmm. But look, over time, and not through a big conversation, and not through me sitting down and explaining myself, but through years of showing up and staying present and practicing what love actually looks like, he got the answer.
And it does make sense because, it's actions and evidence, and those things always speak for themselves.
And that's the goal here. It's not to manage how you come across. It's not to perform a better version of yourself. It's just to stay curious and present. And the right people will actually find you. So
look, relationships, generally one of our most underutilized resources. That's where we started today. And the reason that they so often just stay underutilized isn't that people aren't available and they're not willing and they're not approachable. It's that too often we stop being curious. And we're waiting for them to establish that. We're waiting for them to make the first step and to initiate and to be curious. Well, let's not do that. Let's not wait for them to be curious. We write the story before we ask the question. Too often that's the wrong story ending. And because of that, I mentioned inertia before. Like we let inertia win because we're too willing to allow it to win.
Yeah, and look, the gap between where you are and where you want to be, it has people in it. Like it's not a one-man journey. There are people, they're on the map. And when you start reading the map honestly, it's going to change everything. And hey, look, before we go, we just want to mention one practical thing to take from today. Think of a person in your life who you've already written a story about. Somebody that you filed away and you stopped being curious about them. Reach out to them this week. Ask them one real question, even if the question's just like, hey man, how's it been going? You ran through my mind. How you been doing? A real question about something maybe that they're working on. Like, what have you been up to? What's important with you right now? Just something that they know.
Yeah, that's the cool part of what this is, because you get to do that and then just see what happens. That's it. It's just one conversation. And it's one real question, and it's one piece of curiosity that you get to do this week. And I'd say that's your practice for this week. We'll see you next time.
Before you go, just know it's time. Time to connect. Time to change the nature of everything. Find us at thenatureofeverything.com and don't stay stuck.